welcome.
Hello, we're back again. We wanted to talk today. This video is really if you are a woman who has this calling that you want to bring something to the world, you've got some creative work or some soul work that you want to bring forward, and you also want to be a committed, amazing, present mother.
That's whether you actually go out from the home and work in a career that you're passionate about, or even just a career that takes a lot of your time and energy, that there's some calling there, or it's whether you have your own business and you're busy as an entrepreneur like us.
So for those type of women, there is often this sense of overwhelm and busyness and this constant feeling torn in two directions, and as a consequence feeling like you're kind of failing at both, like you're not really able to give either the quality and the attention that you want to be. And so you're constantly feeling torn in two. And along with that comes this really big one for mothers, is this sense of mother's guilt. The guilt that we have, that we're not giving enough to our children, that we're not doing enough for them, that we're not with them enough, that we're not present with them enough.
That we're never quite enough.
Yeah. So that is this focus of this video, basically, is how do we work with that? How do we address that? And the first piece is the idea of, is it even possible to bring our soul, our creative work, besides being mothers, out into the world and still be a dedicated, committed, give-it-all mother? Yeah.
And that fit in all those other things that just come up anyway. Like life's busy in the modern world.
Exactly. So is it really possible to do both of those things? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is possible. It absolutely is possible.
It's not necessarily always easy.
No, it asks us to grow, and it asks us to address some things that are not supporting us in the way that we're running our lives. A lot of the drivers underneath that we're telling ourselves need to shift if you really, really want to do both of those things. But you can have both of those as two life works. Hi, Helen, honey. It's nice to see you here. You can actually hold both of those life works, and they are both life works. I mean, it's a life work to be a mother and raise your children, and it's a life work to bring your gift or your uniqueness or your creativity or whatever it is for you to the world. And you don't have to compromise on either of them, but you do just have to learn to work differently to bring that forwards without driving yourself freaking insane and into overwhelm and chronic busyness and stress, and the sense that I'm screwing up in every area. I'm never quite good enough in both of these. I'm shortchanging my children by wanting to be, creative and give my work to the world, or I'm shortchanging my work because I'm never fully there because I'm always being torn back to the children, and that sense of being ripped in two. So you can do it, but it does require you to address the belief and to look at this mother's guilt. This mother's guilt piece that comes up. So Kaya and I are going to give you two ways to reframe the guilt today and two first steps for getting rid of the guilt so you can stop feeling torn in two, okay? So the first piece is, let's address the guilt issue, the mother's guilt of, I'm never really doing enough. I'm not there enough. I'm not present enough. I'm distracted. I'm whatever it is, wishing I was doing my work when I'm not, And conversely, when you're at work, feeling this guilt that you're not with your children, like this back and forth tugging. So the first thing to look at is, the main piece here is, what is healthy and what is unhealthy in what's going on for you? And the healthy piece, the healthy component of this is being able to check in with yourself and say, am I living in alignment with my values?
In this moment.
In this moment, yeah. In my heart's truth, am I in alignment? If you're really not in alignment, then you are going to have stuff coming up that's going to keep nudging at you. Okay, so it can come up as guilt. It often does. It's a tricky one. We want you to hear this. You'd want to check in and be really honest. Is there any truth to this? Like, is this telling me, bringing me back to my values, this nudge I keep getting? And that requires you to really tune in on that. Because the other piece of the guilt is not healthy and doesn't serve you at all.
And they're going to be quite intermingled together. So it's like when you feel that mother's guilt come up, you can approach it in an empowered way. And the first step, like Lisa was saying, is to look at the gifts, the messages, the kind of the calls to action to be more of who you really want to be in that. And you can do that in a way that doesn't beat yourself up, in a way that doesn't like kind of metaphorically get out a whip and start whipping you like, see, you're bad. It's just like, hang on, what is really important to me? What are my values around my parenting, around motherhood, and what are my values in work? And in this moment, and you always have more chances, because it's okay to get out of alignment. Like, it happens to everyone. It's just a choice to come back.
So it's actually a nudge, and we're going to talk more about how balance is not a fixed, static thing that you just achieve once. I'm going to do another whole video on that, because it's not. It's a moment-to-moment thing. So the inner nudge could be, like, you can look at it from the healthy perspective of, am I aligned with what's really important in my values here, or am I a bit out of alignment? Am I a bit out of balance? Okay? The unhealthy piece is that we have been taught from a very young age to use guilt as a way to control ourselves or others. If we guilt people, we move them into action. It's just one of those cultural things that's been passed down. People would put guilt on us, right, to do the right thing. Our parents guilted us to do stuff. Like, we always got it, right? So,
and there's that message of, like, if I keep feeling guilty, or if I keep sending the message of guilt, that then something might change.
I'll change myself, okay?
By making myself feel bad for as long as possible.
So first thing, shift the guilt around. You don't need the guilt as a way to make yourself be a good mother. You're already a good mother, okay? You are a good mother because because you're already feeling guilt and stress about all of this, and you're thinking about it, and it's really important to you to be a committed mother. So drop the guilt piece. Okay? Instead, check that you're in alignment with your values, and maybe you are, and then it's mostly cultural, just conditioning that's giving you grief. Okay? So understand that the healthy and unhealthy pieces of guilt. And then, how do we start to work with them?
So then, in order to shift the kind of the guilt that keeps hanging around, and that actually ends up making it even harder to do your work in the world as a mother and in your other work, like it saps the energy out of you, it saps the life force out of you, is a big part of it is around self-love and also around presence. So the two tools we have for you are very simple but very powerful little tools.
Those are the most powerful things, by the way, the simple little tools. Actually, if you do them, if you don't just hear them and go, that's a good idea, and then never do it. If you actually do them, the simpler, the better, the more powerful the shifts. Just keep it simple, 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 simple.
So one is, the antidote to guilt is love, is loving yourself. And I know that because we have brought the topic of self-love to many mothers, that it's a hugely life-changing experience, but it's also a big thing for mothers to come at. Like, how do I just love myself? Like, that seems huge. So the first tiny little step of that is when you're in that mindset of mother's guilt.
I'm a crap mother, I'm never there for them.
Your lens is skewed. Like, you have, it's not rose-colored glasses, it's like the opposite. I don't know how you describe that, but
grimy, dingy.
You have grimy, dingy glasses on when you're looking at yourself, and you don't when you're looking at other people, but you do when you're looking at yourself, and you're not actually seeing the full picture. You're noticing everything that you're doing wrong, and you're discounting or not even seeing the things that you could celebrate. So the first tiny little step of loving yourself, and which shifts the kind of tight, held on, unhealthy guilt, is to start looking at what you can celebrate about yourself as a mother and in your work. Like, what can I celebrate about what I did today? What can I appreciate in myself as a mother today and in my work today? And really sit with it, focus on it, make that your your focus, until your perspective shifts a little bit more, until it becomes more balanced and more whole.
It can just be a tiny shift. It doesn't have to be huge. But you do need to give it some thought. I say this because I've done this process with mothers, you have too, and they'll say, oh, well, I do that, but that doesn't count. Like, or, what? Well, isn't that just what you're meant to do? Like, this is like downgrading of what you are actually doing. That is an awesome thing. Don't do that, okay? Notice it all. Notice it all. Every single bit.
But every time you notice that you're criticizing yourself, what can I celebrate? What can I appreciate in myself as a mother? What can I be grateful for in me, in who I am?
Okay, so that's the first piece in the guilt, in the antidote to mother's guilt around balancing work and motherhood. And the second one is presence. Okay, and again, kind of an overused word, but super powerful. And the reason in this context is presence creates spaciousness, by the way. If you're feeling overwhelmed and like you don't have enough space in your life for anything, get more present, okay? There's all this science that's proving that the more details you're noticing in a moment, the more present you are in the moment, that your brain is recording more information, and your brain actually gives you a different perception of the span of time during that. So present moments feel slower, like you've got way more time. Yeah. So that's a side note. But go into presence. The reason we want you to do it around mother's guilt: be fully where you are when you're there. If you're in front of your children, even if it's a 10-minute whatever you're doing with them, be fully there, right? And then when you're doing your work thing, be fully there. Try in this instance to create those containers. It's that bleed over back and forth of never being present anywhere because you're kind of always in two places at the same time that creates a lot of that inattention in your body.
And the mantra that I often use for that is like, everything else can wait. Like, it's not like because you're not trying to hold it in your mind, that you're not actually caring about the other thing. Like, say if you're at work and doing something for work, if you put your children out of your mind and focus on your work, it doesn't mean that
you love them less.
Yeah, it means that everything else can wait until the moment when it actually matters, because you're there with them.
And then you be fully there with them.
Yes. So the mantra is, everything else can wait. Be here now. Like, be with what I'm at, what I'm doing, who I'm with right now.
If you can start to create these distinctions for yourself and get a bit of spaciousness and get out of the guilt and the, oh crap, I'm doing crap at everything. If you can get out of that, you will find that these two life goals that you have of raising your children and bringing your creative work in the world up to the forefront feed each other. They support each other. You get the gifts, you bring the gifts from each side to the other work. Yeah. We don't go too long in our video, but it starts to be a reciprocity between the two. And the gifts that you have to give to the world start to benefit your children as they see that blossom and unfold in you. And vice versa, you will bring the gifts of motherhood and the things that you grow and evolve into as a mother to your work.
And even just on a basic level, because both of them really fuel you, both of them fill you up, both of them feed you, and it brings you more fully into yourself, which brings you more fully into both of those things.
Yeah. So it is totally possible and so rewarding and beneficial. It's also full. It's also big, and it requires us to really take a good look and unravel what's going on for us. So if that is something, if you're really interested in creating more spaciousness, more room in your life, less overwhelm, less chronic, quick, I got to get this done, I got to get this done, the sense of failing, like I'm always being torn in multiple directions, if you're over that, and that's just, I'm done, I'm moving on, then there's a link here to our booking page, and Kaya and I are opening up some spaces for some calls, and we are so happy to get on and help you unravel that and create a pathway forwards that actually means you can do what you really want to do without losing your mind.
Mothers who are also following their passions and giving lots of love to their children are such a gift to the world. It's
Greatest
so
change
valuable to
makers.
support
Yeah.
women like you.
You guys are the greatest change makers on our planet. Seriously. Okay, so much love to all of you today. We look forward to talking to you again.